Go ahead, start the recording. Since we don't have a chairman yet, I will call the meeting to order. Grisha, can you please do roll call?
George Bousset,
Here.
Bradley Ray is excused. Elizabeth Brannick is also excused. Terrence Van Buren, Elizabeth Garrett, Gary Mertig,
Here.
Paul Wilharm,
Here.
Dan Grady,
Here.
Lissa Radke,
Here.
and is Charlie Ortman here?
No.
All right.
Okay, next we'll entertain an offer to approve the agenda.
Wilharm will make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second by Garrett.
Okay, Wilharm and Garrett. Wilharm has made the motion. Garrett is seconded. All in favor? Any debate? All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next is election of chair. Do we have any nominations? All right, I'll nominate Brad Ray.
I'll second that.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? All right, if there's no other nominations, we'll vote on it now. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, looks like the ayes have it. Brad, I'll let him know he's chair. Next is elect vice chair. Vice chair will take over the meeting today. Paul? Okay. George?
I'm wondering if Terry Van Buren would be willing to do that. Could ask.
Gary, are you willing to do that?
Well, maybe I will.
You would? Yeah. Okay, Terry says he's willing to do it.
So I'll place that nomination.
All right, is there a second?
Wilharm will second.
Okay, are there any other nominations?
Is Pat Kinney still on this committee?
No, he's not.
Okay. I nominate George Bousset.
Okay. Is there a second?
I have to decline.
Okay.
I'm sort of on the injured list and I really don't have the capacity to carry the responsibility right now. I'm sorry.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Hearing none, we can vote on approving Terry Van Buren as vice chair. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, congratulations, Terry. You get to take over the meeting now. Oh, can you please talk into the microphone?
Item 5, public comment pertinent to agenda items, resolutions, ordinances of the day. Any public comment?
I have public comment that was texted to me by Charlie Krasinski of Ashland. Is that something I can read into the minute? Okay. Charlie writes, one of the most important things for me as an Ashland County resident is our continued investment in our region's natural and cultural resources. I'm particularly concerned with the health of some of our county's impaired waterways, such as Bay City Creek, Maslowski Beach, etc., that suffer from chronic pollution problems. We need to invest more in these ecosystems to ensure their health. I also would like to see our county invest more in cultural resources like supporting public art and historic preservation efforts. End.
Any other public comment? Not hearing. 6, approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Bousset will second.
Motion by Dan Grady, second by Mr. Bousset to approve the minutes from the March 2026 meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Discussion action items. Confirm updated draft for existing land use map.
Okay, Terry, this is where Emily's going to take over.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Thanks. And I'd like this committee's confirmation today that the updated draft existing land use map, which is available on in that web map link, is ready to be incorporated into the comprehensive plan in draft form. And this existing land use, this is the snapshot in time of how land is being used in Ashland County, across the county, countywide in 2026. So it's a part of that baseline information, the current conditions today. And we used current aerial imagery and then text parcel GIS data to make that identification of the primary land use for each of the parcels in the county. And then it's been available for a few months for this committee. We also provided it to zoning and GIS staff to have a chance to take a look at it and review it for accuracy. So I just want to today, this map in draft form would be used to update the land use chapter for the comprehensive plan, as well as used to as a starting point for the future land use map, which would be our next exercise in the land use. And overall, I think it's important. This map shows that Ashland County has that rural character everybody is aware of, large areas of forest, conservation land. And then when you look at the data, conservation lands account for about 43% of the county. Private forest and open space is about 31%. And then tribal lands, 14%. And then a lot smaller, you get into the rural residential, the agriculture, and then very small, like less than 0.1% is the more developed uses, the commercial, industrial, institutional sort of land uses. So I'm looking for the confirmation that in draft form, at least, this map would be accurate enough to incorporate into the land use chapter.
I think it is, Bruce. Do you agree? Do you agree this map is accurate as of today?
So as far as I can tell, it is. And maybe the discussion will go more, Emily, into the farmland preservation stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, as far as just current, yes, for sure. Yep.
I
Emily,
just
do you
want to
need-
make sure that this, as it stands, is information that we can use. And then this is the starting point for the future land use map, which I have a draft version printed here today that looks at keeping the, I guess, rural and preservation of Ashland County at the forefront. It's generalized land use from minimal no development to the most developed concentrated uses. And that would be displayed on your future land use map. It's something that the county would use to align their vision for maybe rezonings, big land use proposals. I know others have brought up, like, what if there's a big solar farm that is proposed in the county? It would be this comprehensive plan, the goals, the objectives, the actions, the existing land use map, the future land use map that you could use to make sure that such a proposal would align with the county's overall vision. Questions?
I have a couple. For one thing, I take it you're the county GIS specialist or something, or I don't know who you are, sorry.
Sorry, Emily works for Northwest Regional Planning,
Oh, okay.
and Northwest Regional Planning was hired by the county to assist with this process.
And we have, I'm not the GIS specialist for Northwest Regional Planning, but I did work with him in developing this map and in trying to have a starting point for the future land use map for the county.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yes.
And then, so I imagine that the methodology for creating this baseline map is this has all been plotted many times over and for
Yeah.
other uses. So you just kind of compiled data to
Yeah,
create this.
based on looking at aerial imagery, like if there looks like there is a house on a property, it would be residential. Commercial, you can tell where there's the forested land. We know about the public lands. So that's all incorporated into this land use map. So that's just the human activity on the land today as a point in time. And then we had it available because we know the data is easily, like it's hard as a person sitting at the computer to know, am I actually looking at a building that is a residence? Is this a commercial property? So then we had provided it to the committee to take a look at for their perspective and accuracy, like a windshield sort of survey. We used the data that we have available and then had provided it to the committee for their review.
Thanks. And so when did this review take place and who did that?
Northwest Regional did it. They did all the aerial viewing.
But she just said, then they provided it to the county or maybe the committee to do like a windshield.
Yeah, we
confirm.
received some revisions from several of the planning committee members.
Yeah.
And then
And-
that is incorporated into this draft map. But if there are others, maybe in your neighborhood or you're passing through that you see might not be represented on the map yet, we can still make those changes.
So county GIS and county zoning also looked at the map.
Yes.
Okay, and it's hard under the tribal lands. It seems like there's a modeling of industrial and could you slide the
be-
bar down on the, not on there, but on the key? Yeah,
Forest and open space.
it looks like it's either extraction, I mean, okay, I see the green, but is it all, it's
If
just
you click
tribal?
on
Okay,
the
it's
parcel,
just that
it'll
it's a
tell you
larger-
what it is.
Okay, I get it.
Could you click on one of the blue on the map? And then it lets you know who the landowner is.
Yeah.
Could you do one of the other colors? And is there anything other than forest and open space?
So
And then conservation.
Emily, this is Bruce from zoning. So are the green, are them non-tribal or private
Yes,
ownership?
that would be,
So the purple should be probably trust or Chippewa ownership. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there's fee simple property within the
yes.
reservation, mostly landlocked.
so the assumption is under the purple, it's most likely going to be residential or forested or whatever.
Mhm.
And we don't have much say over tribal land anyway.
Right,
Right.
it's either, so in this case, it's like someone will say USA Trust, so they're held in trust by the federal government. Others will actually say actual owners if they're not. And yes, we don't have any say over what happens on the reservation.
Is your confidence level high in this map being accurate?
Yes, based on what I know and my knowledge and working with other communities in the county. Mhm. We did do the existing land use based on our review of that, but we were discussing, especially I think when it comes to future land use, if we should use the town's information for that. But with this is its own countywide, more general land use. And then definitely we have to acknowledge that all of the towns, the cities, the villages have their own comprehensive plan. But I think especially we should consider that for future land use.
Didn't LaPointe just recently do their own comp plan?
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Emily. That's a complex
Yeah,
project and the island looks good.
good,
Yeah.
good to hear.
And then one more basic question. So if it's conservation land, it's in the olive, and if it's forest and open stand, it's kind of in this lime green. Does conservation land mean it's under some kind of either federal, state, or local program?
Yes,
So that means it's
um,
either farmland or open space or forest
I
land?
can let you know the definitions we used for each. So conservation is any undeveloped land designated for conservation and best management practices regardless of the ownership. And that excludes forest tax law enrolled private land. And then forest and open space is undeveloped forest or open space with an improvement value of less than $10,000 in the current statewide parcel data set.
Per acre. An improvement per acre
Mhm.
of less than 10,000.
And are those definitions that you just read, Emily, on the map somewhere or accessible on an online format?
They are on our website with the link and the QR code to this map. And then this will have all the categories and definitions in the land use chapter. And then I also have a table that'll show the percentage of each of those land use categories in the land use chapter. And that top one again was the conservation at 43%.
Thank you.
I move to accept this map as a baseline map for the plan going forward.
Mhm.
That's what you're looking for.
Second it, Van Buren.
And then, oh, go ahead.
Emily, do you ever see a GIS layer that can be included that shows non-taxable land? I'm thinking that one of the reasons Ashland County always comes up in the bottom of the 72 counties or near the bottom for different indicators of economic duress is because so much of the county is not taxed.
Mhm.
Just wondered if that would be informative in terms of how to talk about and describe our economic development opportunities or challenges. If we could see how much of the county is not generating, quote, income.
Well, you can see the entire purple area. That's not generating revenue.
Yeah, I'm just not sure that the average person understands how to read that map and then make implications from it.
Schwamingen Forest is not taxable too.
Yeah, there's a lot of land that on there is not taxable, and all I'm suggesting is that we have a layer or a way to indicate that on a map to help people understand not only the land use, but the economic implications of that land
should.
use.
Krisha, can you go right down below the town of Marengo? There's with the olive color, or click on one of those parcels, please. All right, see that. So those properties are all owned by the federal government and are not taxable.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, it is in there. That's what the olive color is.
Yeah. Okay. So I would just like to offer that as a suggestion that could be considered, and maybe Emily, we could talk about it later. Maybe there's other examples of what different counties or communities do.
Yeah, and our GIS specialist, Clem, looks like he has his hand raised. He's online.
Yeah, I can chime in on that. The statewide parcel data set does include a coding for tax exempt parcels, so that would be very simple to like pull out. It's kind of when I get to the public lands map, that is one of the maps I'll be updating for the comprehensive plan. That'll pretty much identify all those.
That's very useful. Thanks, Clem. So you
Yep.
said at what level the state had that, like a GIS layer that indicates?
Yeah, it's the statewide parcel data set where each county annually submits their countywide parcels to the state, to DOA, and it gets updated annually with fresh parcel data from each county.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Yep.
And it's just another way that, you know, for people who understand land use mapping and that kind of thing, our minds are already jumping to the fact, oh, look at all this green, that's national forest or forest, so it's not being taxed. But I know through some of the outreach I do that people really don't understand that. They just hear that Ashland County is very, very poor. And when they try to make economic development considerations, it's nice to have a visual way to interpret this.
Or you want to recognize George?
Do we have the ability, as we review these things, to look at the outline of Ashland County and then have only one of these parameters show up at a time? So if I wanted to look at extraction, everything else would disappear, and I would only see the parcels that are involved in extraction show. Or if I wanted to look at cemetery, everything else would go away and I would only see cemetery. Is that possible? Do we have that ability?
Clem might know. Clem?
I can't do that within the interface here, but I could probably modify it to be able to query out individual land uses. I'll take a look at that over the next couple days here and get back to the committee on whether I can build that functionality into this web map or not.
I'm just thinking that for the future utility of this information for the future of the planning committee, it'd be really, really helpful to be able to have that functionality to just isolate one thing instead of trying to look at everything all at once.
Yeah,
So,
and Brittany at Land Records, she has a copy of this data too, and she can do all of that as well at the county level for internal use.
Okay, I'm just looking at it from the point of view of committee members and their ability to review it, that's all.
George, we can talk to Brittany about that.
Thank you.
So I think we need to vote on approving the motion.
I just wanted to comment, I believe that although that land has no tax value, I believe they are doing pilot on it. I seem to remember seeing that on the Mellon School.
There was a one pilt payment on the Chequamegon Forest. There was one payment we've gotten. Other than that, we're not getting any money for the federal lands.
Okay, we have a motion to approve in a second for draft existing land use map. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
So that's the documentation of what's happening today, the existing land use map. Next time, I think probably in June, I think the county I'll work with the county, especially zoning and others, on an outline of what the future land use map should look like, probably between now and the next meeting. So that's where the county lays out the land patterns and how they'll generally change over time. So this plan is a 20-year plan, 20-year vision that's meant to be updated at least once every 10 years. But it's something you're meant to use throughout all of your decision making. So our next stage is the review of the vision statement, the goals, objectives, and actions, which all work together in how you're guiding the land use patterns and then other decision-making things that happened. And how you apply all of this in the comprehensive plan, especially when it comes to land use decision-making, into this what we'll look at next, which is the Ashland County Vision Statement from 2016. Yes. And I liked how the 2016 plan introduced the vision statement. It said that it's helpful to know where you're going and generally how you get there. Planning is what helps guide how things develop over time rather than leaving it up to happen on its own. So in the plan, the vision statement describes what Ashland County is intended to be like over the next 20 years. And I'll just read that for you. Ashland County Vision Statement from 2016 is that, so this would be the vision that was written in 2016 with an outlook through 2036, is that we envision a county that recognizes the diversity of rural, forested, community, and village life. By joining together, we become stronger and more efficient in meeting our citizens' needs. We are challenged to maintain and improve land, air, and water quality in an increasingly complex world. To meet these challenges, the county will have a robust economic development throughout the county to remain competitive in attracting new businesses and supporting existing businesses. The county will have a thriving local economy that attracts and retains young people, state-of-the-art infrastructure, the most up-to-date telecommunications, well-qualified workforce with a high quality of life, and ample job opportunities providing a living wage. The county will maintain a high-quality natural resource base and preserve our air, land, and water at the highest level for future generations. It will continue its position as a steward to county, state, and federal forest lands, fish and wildlife through collaboration with different agencies and organizations. It will have quality and affordable housing opportunities for all residents, continue to provide both natural resource opportunities and cultural resource opportunities that attract people to the county, and continue to recognize the importance of tourism in the county. Continue to support the main economic drivers of the county, including manufacturing, forestry, tourism, agriculture, education, and health services. It will support childhood and lifelong learning through strong K-12, 2-year and 4-year higher educational institutions. Instant reactions.
I wonder, I've never really quite understood how this plan affects our Bad River tribal neighbors, but I wouldn't mind having something in here that says something about continuing to work to build good, effective relations with our tribal neighbors, something like that. To more officially recognize the role of the tribe in the county.
Mm-hmm.
My initial reactions are that, to quote Wendell Berry, the economy is a wholly owned subsidiary of our environment. The fact that we put the two big economic indicators as the first and second diamond, and then do another one as the seventh, makes me wish, or it just doesn't feel quite right to me for such a rural and forest-driven space, water rural, to emphasize economic development as being the thing that jumps out the most. Seems like it's not exactly reflective of why people come here and why they stay. And then I believe there's a couple of grammatical errors.
Yeah, we'll change. I think some commas are missing in such as well. But I think what you bring up in the meeting packet, you also had the overall vision from several of the counties adopted plans based on specific topics. That I think each of them provides its own more detailed direction and specific actions. But when you look at all of those, I think it does highlight the natural resources, the working lands, agriculture, rural land use in general throughout all of those other planning documents that they have. I think that aligns with that same direction that you're describing. So I
Well,
understand what,
would it make sense to even just reorganize these bullets based on the results of the survey? Because it seems like one of the things that was highlighted the most in the survey results was that people were here because of the natural resources, the beauty of and amenities of small rural country living, something like that. To keep these but change the order. Would that help address what you're getting at, Beth?
That does help address it. So thanks.
So one of the things we have to keep in mind is economic development is what keeps this county moving. It's what keeps the city of Mellon moving, town of La Pointe moving. We need the economic development because that's what increases our tax base. Without it, our levy doesn't go up and we can't provide the services we're supposed to provide. So
I do recognize that. Thank you for that input. I just feel that this is a values and vision driven opportunity, and the fact that we have created a situation where government is fully reliant on the economics of an area is an underlying problem that puts our life force at odds with how we do governance. And that doesn't mitigate or negate the fact that we have to have a livable space. We have to take care of our environment, the one place we have to exist. I recognize how the economics of a government work.
So if we change the order around, and I'm just going on the logic of basing this on survey results, we would still not negate that we need economic development. We would just align these bullets in our vision with the results of the survey.
I think that makes a lot more sense for a document that's based on citizen input and reflecting citizen expressed ideals. I don't think we should be in the business of overriding what's expressed.
who does? George, do you have an addition?
Right, so if I'm recalling correctly, you go back the fall period, we had a much stronger focus on quality of life for the citizens of the county being the key parameter. So economic development can be both a pro and a con. As you know, we're going to have, if there is ever a significantly large data center approach in our area, it's going to generate a lot of debate. As you know, the pipeline rerouting has developed a lot of debate. So economic development has pros and cons. So I think we want to emphasize that we want economic development consistent with the desires for a high quality of life that the citizens who live here rely upon.
I think that's a really good nuance to bring to the fore and agree.
I like that.
And then I've heard people say multiple times citizens. I also received a revision suggestion from someone who's not here today. If you go to the top in the bold, the sentence with, by joining together, we become stronger and more efficient in meeting our citizens' needs. What if that was citizens as in all citizens and the apostrophe after the S?
That's a definite. Otherwise, it's
Yes.
Yeah.
Confirmed?
Yeah, that sounds fine to me, but I would like us to go back and talk more about including words in our vision that include the importance and significance of our Bad River members.
Okay.
I mean, this is a vision statement. We've always lived with our tribal neighbors, but I've never seen that mentioned in the comprehensive plan, and we haven't fully really figured out how to integrate the tribes. Maybe regional planning has some examples from other counties that have tribes, how they're involved, because of course they have their own comprehensive and strategic plans as a sovereign nation. But I think it's important that we finally, make a intention to acknowledge that we share the county with a tribal nation.
And it looks like George Bousset, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I don't know quite how to amend this, but I think there's more than meeting our citizens' needs, which I think is in a way primary, but the land up here doesn't all belong to the citizens who live here. The national forests are the property of the population of the United States. The state parks belong to the people of the state of Wisconsin. So as a county, we have a responsibility to the stakeholders beyond our citizens as well. I'm not sure quite how to say it.
Van Buren, perhaps it should say, meeting the public's needs. Rather than citizens. Or our citizens.
Maybe public and private.
I think the word public is adequate for incorporating in this instance, the public's need is preferable. And to get back to Lissa's point, I like the idea of having a bullet point about the tribal. It's one of the unique factors of Ashland County. So I like the idea of having a bullet point that acknowledges that.
I'd be happy to write something, and I would definitely want to include input from our new county board members who represent districts in the reservations boundaries.
So what are we doing right now? It says it's a vision statement review. Are we potentially, oh yeah, we're updating this if we would like to?
Yes.
Oh, and we're going to do that right here. and
I'll
now?
go by, I can take notes and I can work with Lissa to bring something, it sounds like, to the county board and or this planning committee for the next meeting, or we can work on this today or do a combination of all of that.
Okay. Yeah, we envision a county that recognizes the diversity of rural, forested, community, and village life by joining together. I'm not exactly sure who they're referring to joining together. The diversity of people living in the rural forest again. We become stronger and more efficient. Who's we there? The government, us communally together. The county government becomes stronger and more efficient in meeting the public's needs.
Yes, we means the county.
Okay, thanks. By joining together, so the county is joining with rural, forested, community, and village life is how
Yeah,
that,
yeah, it sounds a little clunky.
yeah, it's a little clunky. We are challenged to maintain and improve land, air, and water quality in an increasingly complex world.
I mean, that sentence should also have the word urban in it to recognize the
Yeah,
city.
exactly.
And then you could include tribe and tribal in
Yeah,
that sentence too.
yeah.
And that way you're encompassing everyone.
I think that's getting better, yeah. And when you're using the word challenged there, are you saying challenged in the sense of our charge is to maintain and improve land, or are you acknowledging that there are challenges to maintaining and improving land where air and water quality? And, I'm not sure exactly what that's even saying and how that fits into the vision statement.
Yeah, I read it as the former, but yeah, it reads, I agree with you, it reads both ways.
Do we want to refine the bold vision statement part today, and I'll keep all of the notes that I have for those bullets and rearrange and work on those based on what I've heard today?
The whole
Yes.
first paragraph is kind of clunky.
Yes, George?
Yeah, I can't find the document in my history file here,
Yeah.
but we had quite a discussion earlier on the vision
Mhm.
statement.
Yes.
I'm not
It
sure
was
where that,
before we had the survey results.
yeah. So I'm not sure where that ended up, but that might be a useful item to integrate where appropriate.
So do we have other suggestions for Emily, and then she can work on it and send it back to us? We can look at an email before a meeting. That way we're more prepared to.
And then maybe this will evolve as you review the goals, objectives, actions for each of the specific topics. Mhm.
Yeah, maybe the order of doing this is, in some ways, the vision statement comes last. As
Yeah.
we realize where our emphasis falls.
you're
From
moving.
the specific to the general, as opposed to the other way around.
Do we want to say anything about embracing tourism?
Well, that would be as part of the economic development portion. But yeah, it's important about the city and the town.
In a way, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullet point seems to most speak to tourism, I think. I think that we have an S on continues in that bullet point that is awkward.
I know, Beth, do you want to work with Erica to sort of reword this later?
Yeah, I'd love to.
I mean, because, you two are the best writers we have, so.
Really? I don't know about that, but precision of language matters. I think George is a great writer too.
Oh, okay, okay, so Erica made some changes, just based on what we had already. Not moving things around, or just making sure the language is and the grammar is correct.
And if you'd like, I could go through one by one each comment.
I know that's torturous in a committee environment sometimes to go through. So I always prefer to take that offline and then bring it back. Of course, the the problem there is then other people might want to go through that one and you do that forever.
How about if I email Erica's, just her grammar changes to everybody on the committee? So at least then you can look at the comments just individually. And then,
It was mostly grammar, but some of it is just other ideas that I was inserting, and feel free to send it around.
at least it's a starting point for people to. And then like if people want to move bullet points around, they can. But, you know, I think like you said, Beth, maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves, that we should do the other parts first, because this all
Mhm.
might change,
Yeah,
and then we're just wasting time.
yeah, exactly.
So maybe we should just move on and come back to this. Does that sound good to everyone?
Do you have the goals, objectives, actions side? So then ultimately that vision statement that we have for this plan will align with all of the goals, objectives, and actions. Yes. So the goals, objectives, and actions review, and I know some committee members have already looked at their specific topics or some specific topics. But a goal, that's a long-term outcome the county is working toward. The objectives are more specific and be observed or measured. And then you have the action steps. These are the specific actions that help achieve those goals and objectives. And so each element of the comprehensive plan, at least starting with housing through land use. So there are 7 total topics, plus you have a section on plan monitoring and implementing. Each has its own goals, objectives, and actions. And starting with the housing goals, objectives, and action steps, these are from 2016, and we want to decide if we would like to carry these forward, make any revisions, any additions or deletions as we review these. So housing goal is provide for a variety of housing choices that promote affordable and quality housing for all county residents. As the overall housing goal.
I wonder if we could say something that's about the housing too, in that statement about taking into account best land use practices as well, because how we choose, where we choose to allow housing to go ends up driving much about the affordability of our infrastructure and the viability of our transportation options. So I'm wondering if that even belongs in the housing goal, like provide for a variety of housing choices that promote affordable and quality housing while minimizing objectionable or negative consequences on delivering of services of, you know, for all county residents, or mitigating impacts on sprawl and overuse of our land or something like that. You know where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to point out this, the housing section really only applies to towns where the county does have the zoning and stuff. And some towns like LaPointe has their own zoning. But the city of Ashland does its own zoning and land use. The city of Mellon does its own zoning and land use. They both have home rules, so we can't override that. So this would apply to like the town of Ashland, the town of Marengo. You know. Yeah. And then for us to do anything, we'd have to work with that local community and make sure that their goals are not, or land use desires are not trampled on. So it's what people know that part.
But if we add with the addition of referencing the best land use practices for housing and residential assumptions for, or compatibility for residential land use. And then the housing supporting objectives under that goal. A, promote and encourage the maintenance and improvement of the county's housing stock, reduce blight.
That almost reads like the county owns the housing, but do you mean,
Of the housing stock. We don't even need to say counties. In the county, improvement of housing stock in the county. Encourage the reduction of blight. Yeah,
I don't know why blight was singled out. I would just say that if you're trying to promote and encourage maintenance, it includes reducing blight.
encourage
Just
maintenance.
It just seems
But-
weird to have reduced blight tacked on there, kind of awkward. And if really you want to look at all of the housing maintenance and improvement, I would suggest that this would be a good place to make sure it is resilient to extreme weather impacts.
Within A,
Yeah.
was there a housing? No, there was not a housing section for the reports.
Correct.
Yeah,
They
Brad was
worked
doing
on?
it. I do know the local communities reducing blight is important.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know the city of Ashland is actively working at reducing blight. And I know some of the towns are actively trying to reduce blight. So it is important to those local communities.
I'm just wondering if it is necessary, because we're already talking about encouraging maintenance and improvement. And then if we want to say reduce blight, if that's important, then there could be words added that said, and ensure that housing be renovated or built with climate resilient best management practices. That's another way to maintain and improve your housing stock.
Terry, do you want to comment? You're on the Mellon City Council or mayor.
Was mayor, it's Dan Buren. No, as far as that goes, improvement of the housing stock in the county, encourage reducing blight should cover it. I mean, it's starting to sound like a paragraph on its own.
Is there consensus on which direction we should go with that? We could have an action step also related, make sure it's related to this objective. Specifically for the maintenance and blight part of it.
Don't go to Butternut.
I would like somewhere in the housing goal to say something that we recognize the fact that extreme weather is having and will have significant impacts. And so we want to find ways to address and reduce those in the future. Whether that's an objective or an action, it's probably okay either way.
Or probably we should do both. Let's see how that connects with the rest of that. So then B is increase the range of affordable housing types and prices in order to meet the needs of residents.
You can cut in order just to make it more fewer words. And prices to meet the needs of residents.
Okay. Any other changes? C, increase cooperation among both public and private agencies to address the provision of affordable housing for residents.
Could read, increased cooperation between public and private agency.
And stop there.
No, and continue with the sentence then.
He's saying get rid of the word both.
Increase cooperation among public and private agencies to address the provision of affordable housing for residents.
Either among or between.
And can we figure out a word that's easier for the public to understand than provision? What can we just say to address affordable housing? And leave it at that. I just think we have the four residents, we're kind of repeating ourselves over again.
Increase cooperation between public and private agencies to address affordable housing.
Yeah, it sounds simpler.
Okay. D, reduce the cost of owning or renting housing, particularly through energy efficiency and renewable energy.
I mean, I think it's a worthy goal, but the county has doesn't do anything with that. You know, I mean, it's all private and state and federal. Oh,
But the county could have a role in educating people or educating developers or encouraging in some ways that they partake of those things. They could be an educational role.
yeah, we could do that. And let's see,
Well,
George's
there is
email.
an action step coming up about encouraging energy conservation and use of renewable energy. And I think it's in 2 chapters, actually, economic development and housing.
George, I can't open the document. Can you please try resending it? Nobody else has Emily, George just sent you his vision statement.
His which?
His vision statement.
Okay,
This
thank
was,
you.
this was discussed over the summer and back in August, this was on the agenda.
Yes. So I think
Okay.
it's good. We did it early on. We're doing it before the visioning and then we'll do it after the visioning. Like, I think that's a good setup.
Okay.
And then the D, reduce the cost of owning or renting housing? Do you want to carry that objective forward into the plan update?
I don't know if others are feeling this, but these feel very redundant to me. A, B, C, D, E.
Yeah,
Yes,
They seem to be saying the same thing over and over.
yeah, I agree.
yeah, A through,
And one thing that I don't see addressed, and I don't know if it's just an oversight or if it's intentional, is what they call, higher end housing, which might be an important thing for economic development, as far as making sure that higher income people have houses that they would be excited to live in, which means they would take the job here. I don't know if we need to have a role as a county, so maybe it's intentionally left out, which is fine with me, or if it was just an oversight. The word I was struggling for was recruitment and retainment of professionals.
That's a big issue. Especially if you want to keep a hospital here.
So it feels like we're addressing the same thing over and over and failing to address that particular issue.
Yeah, 'cause aren't D and F really the same thing?
And isn't F kind of also implied with this cooperation between public and private agencies to address
Yeah, E would be, yeah.
Melissa, haven't you been quite active in the housing communications or conversations around the county? Do these feel redundant to you, or do you feel that it's important to bring to the fore all of these different affordable housing needs?
I have not been involved in housing up until about maybe 6 months ago. We had a UW Extension housing coordinator, mainly for Bayfield County, but a little bit in Ashland County. So it's not an issue I've been working directly on. However, I definitely see there's some redundancies in these first 6 objectives. Would maybe just for use of our time, would anybody want to take a look at those and pare them down or compile them and email the rest of us? I mean, I'd be happy to take a stab at it. To me, it seems like D is part of F. And increasing the availability of quality housing, E seemed a lot like A. I can't quite see it anymore, but just above this, E seems like, thanks, A and B.
Let's say we just get rid of D and E completely.
I agree with that. Get rid of D and E.
I might be able to just see my way clear of doing that if we include the energy efficiency and renewable energy in one of the, okay. Okay, good.
See, that way F addresses everybody.
It seems like I can't really hear everybody. Maybe the mics aren't on, but it seems like E is part of B. And B could say to meet the needs of all residents, including, for example, low income, blah, 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 or just leave that out altogether. And I don't know what psychologically impaired is.
George?
Yeah, I just want to point out, that Brad has taken the lead on housing, so we're missing his input.
Emily, you mentioned you were taking notes. Is there a way we could like rework this and then when it goes out in the notes for the meeting, highlight
Yeah.
in the notes for Brad to take a look?
Yeah, I'm taking notes and I think maybe I should send this section directly to Brad as well. That might be helpful. That's what I did with the background chapter and he provided feedback on the background report.
Thanks.
Yes, I'll do that for the housing. Do you think we should do that? Wait on the action steps as well? Do you want to work through those today?
What time did people want to leave? Was it 3:30?
We should wait for Brad for the action steps.
So then let's go to the next, which I believe is transportation. And I think that was someone able to take, and I think there is a the extreme weather report for that, and I can pull that up too. So the transportation goal, provide a transportation network that will ensure the year-round safe and efficient movement of individuals, goods, and needs of common businesses while respecting the quality of life and character of the community.
George?
Well, I'll point out this was Paul's segment, but a note of good news. I noticed today that they are beginning the construction of the new boat ramp down on the Ashland waterfront, which is well, it's transportation, but it's going to be a really nice amendment to the Ashland waterfront.
And Erica did have a suggestion. If you said the efficient movement of individuals, goods, and needs of common materials while respecting the quality of life and character of the community instead of businesses. I do think that's an overall all-encompassing transportation goal.
So you were going to take out "and needs of common businesses" and just put "and materials" in there?
The goods and needs of, let me see how she. The needs of common businesses, replace with materials or something else. Provide a transportation network that will ensure the year-round safe and efficient movement of individuals, goods, and needs of common materials while respecting the quality of life and character of the community. The movement of individuals, materials while respecting the quality of life and character of the community.
The issue I had was that the subject is the efficient movement.
Yeah.
And how does the needs of common businesses fit with efficient movement, right? So it needs to be three kind of nouns, like individuals, goods, and blank.
Commerce?
Or maybe we need
How about
two
material?
sentences here.
Erica, how about commerce?
Services.
Services.
Individuals, goods, and materials while respecting.
Goods and services.
Yes.
Yeah,
Efficient movement of services, though?
goods and services.
What's a service?
Well, goods are actual products and services are,
Yeah, I'm gonna go fix your broken spring on your garage door.
yeah. It's what an electrician is a service. Yeah. All right.
So maybe commerce, I think.
Individuals, goods, and commerce.
Well,
Safe and efficient movement of individuals.
of individuals and say businesses.
Around safe and efficient. While respecting the quality of life and character of the community.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, Beth, Mike wasn't on. So she's saying after the word movement, strike everything. Just strike of individuals, goods, and needs of common businesses. So it'd read movement while efficient movement while respecting the quality of life and character.
Provide a transportation network that will ensure the year-round safe and efficient movement while respecting the quality of life and character of the community.
You'd also have to
Year-
strike the word the before
Yes.
year round, yeah. And then we could, instead of movement, we could say travel. Ensure safe and efficient travel while respecting the quality of life and character of the community.
Consensus?
Yeah.
Objectives, address the issue of heavy loads on county and town roads with objectives of supporting farms, logging, and other businesses, while also protecting the roadways.
It's clunky, but it gets its message across.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just to point out, the logging part's gonna increase in a few years. With that jet fuel, renewable jet fuel plant in Hayward.
And then for B, I think there was a suggestion from the extreme weather planning document. I'll find.
And we should, just to point out, we are doing this already. So when they do culvert repairs, they're putting in bigger culverts. Because we do have areas when we get floods that wash out the road. So they are constantly putting in bigger culverts when it's time. But we should keep something like this in.
And then the only change that was in the extreme weather report was changing anticipate to plan for. So it'd be acknowledge and plan for potential impacts from changing climate conditions on the county's transportation system during future maintenance and repairs.
I like it. Could we go back to letter A for one small change? And I'm wondering if
Yes.
we can, as a government, I think we are meant to protect the people. So maybe we should say more like, protect the integrity of our roadways while accommodating, while working to accommodate within reason, the heavy loads on county and town roads with the objective of supporting the farms, logging, and other businesses. It seems to me like the way it's written now, we are subjugating the citizens' needs to the needs of the farms, logging, and businesses. And I think it should be the other way around.
I think that makes lots of sense. And then C, support increased state and local road improvement funding at all levels of government. D, continue developing and improving public and specialized transportation services to meet the needs of a varied population, the elderly, disabled, the youth, etc.
Yeah, and we're doing that already.
E, support the creation of a regional transit authority for such a time when it will be politically feasible.
Isn't that BART?
Does BART act as a full transit authority or is it just
It's a
a,
regional train. It goes into Bayfield County and Price County.
right, does it have all of the authorities of a whole regional transit authority or doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Then should we say, support?
Continue supporting BART.
Yeah.
Just-
Yeah, I like that.
And in fact, we could combine that with D then too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
agreed. Going back to C that we went fast over, support increased state and local road improvement funding at all levels of government. I'm wondering, with the feds, are we supporting the local roads being improved or are we supporting the funding? Because if we say at all levels of government, but it's really often the feds that are more or less driving that. I just, a
Actually,
little,
it's the state.
well, the state,
The state is what gives us, is really what's doing that. They're the ones that do the transportation aid and
do they get their funding ultimately from the feds?
the gas tax.
Yeah, what about the federal gas tax? Where does that go?
That goes to Washington.
Okay.
Washington then turns around and gives that out to states through grants, but it's not. We're not gonna see any of that for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
But typically, I mean, we do get some federal money. Highway TT is being funded by the feds. But that was a grant that we obtained during the last administration. So,
Anyway,
so,
funding.
So C is about funding, and then we'll combine about BART into D. And then F, increase multi-jurisdictional cooperation in the upkeep of roads in the county.
again, that would be referring to the state.
But didn't our county just write a plan with one of the townships to share upkeep duties, plowing or something?
Yeah, we did. With Town of Marengo, they're paying us to do our road maintenance. So, I mean,
That is multi-jurisdictional, isn't it?
yeah, I guess it is.
Is that a reasonable objective to carry forward?
Yeah.
Yes.
G, maintain the natural beauty of the county's roadways and scenic views.
How does this square with, there seems to be some really wholesale shoulder clearance going on for, many yards on either side of all of our roads. Is that something the county is doing? And is that a mandate or is that just a decision for lowering the cost of road upkeep or crashes with animals or what?
A lot of that, especially on the state roads, is mandated by DOT. My specialized Wisconsin DOT. So WisDOT. So they pay the county to basically to clear trees in the right of way, state's right of way. And that is to improve line of sight for safety. So.
Do we have any wiggle room to say yes or no, or is it something that they'll cut off our funding if we don't do?
We can't really say no, and we need the funding. That's how we pay for, that's one of the ways we pay for our highway department.
I do believe that's completely in opposition to this letter, though.
It might be, but again, we're an arm of the state, so.
Well, the state would fit under F. That's a jurisdictional cooperation, but it seems like G says the county's roadways, which is what the county has jurisdiction over. And that's what you're trying to get to, Beth?
Well, we do clear trees for safety. That's,
Hey, Dan,
yes,
Dan,
Yes,
this
sir.
is Gary. You're absolutely right. The state mandates clearing the highways for a lot of reasons. The biggest is in the winter, highways that have trees located too close take more salt to clear the highways. So the idea is you clear the trees back to the right of way, legal right of way, and then you don't have to use as much salt on the roads for winter time. On the county, it's the same objective. I mean, the state pays for the state highways when the county's doing the work. But on the county highways, it's not only safety, but it's the same issue. Our salt use is out of hand. People don't want to slow down, so they want to use lots of salt. But if we can clear the trees out of the right of way and only the legal right of way, then you use less salt. It accomplishes the sun getting onto the road. It also, if you talk to the people who hit multiple deer every year, it's a big issue. And it may not appeal to some people, but it's almost it's safety and the use of salt. The use of salt is out of hand. Thanks.
which then keeps salt out of the water.
It's all, I understand that people aren't just doing it for the fun of it. I would just say that this is the kind of decision that I think a vision is exactly meant to address, so that people really make that decision as a body. Because while the benefit is for in the winter, the destruction feels like it's a year-round thing. And I think that if you widen every single road so that it looks like an airport runway, you are also increasing the psychology of, well, then I can go super fast. There's nothing to hit. There's nothing to slow me down here. So I just know these things go in a pendulum. And right now it makes all the sense in the world to just clear every tree. But it looks like hell, and it totally destroys the feeling that you're up north. You feel like every road is as wide as a double lane highway. So I would prefer to slow down.
Well, I appreciate them cutting the brush back from the roads. Number one, you can see wildlife coming and react. So it isn't, plus having been on GG and ice storms, I guarantee you want them cut back. There's trees all over the road.
So somehow that G is interpreted, in different ways as it is. Makes sense. We're trying to get back to this main finding of the survey and in our vision statement of making sure that Ashland County maintains its, apparently here, scenic beauty. So somewhere, I think that G is sort of a pivot point of safety and natural rural character. And I don't know how to address the tension between the two, but G is one that I think maybe we could bookmark and have another discussion, because this is going to pop up later in other chapters. How we use natural resources, how we use the ag land, it pops up in other chapters.
I think that's a
Does
good
that
point.
make sense?
That's a good point, Lisa. So maybe we just highlight it in red and move on.
Okay. And then H, enhance the county's transportation network for motorized and non-motorized recreational use.
Um, that's a tough one because so much of it goes through private property.
Emily, was this intended to allow ATVs on county highways type thing? Like they do in Iron County?
That's a good question. It does say county's transportation network. Does that mean what the county maintains? I think that could be interpreted. Or overall, does the county foresee that motorized and non-motorized recreational use is important?
Well, it is a
There-
driver of tourism.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
This, Dan, this is Gary.
yeah,
Back when the other plan was implemented, the county had very little, if any, county in the case of four-wheelers, very little roads that were open to four-wheelers. Today, we have 90% of the county roads are open to four-wheelers. In the subject of non-motorized vehicles, there's a federal land grant that's already been approved for GG out of Clam Lake towards Mellon. It's a short stretch, but it's a start. We got the federal land grant for a few $1 million because we proposed putting bike lanes on that road at GG. Now, it doesn't go across the entire section of GG, and people still ride bikes across that whole section. But that first piece that's going to be done soon will be widened enough to add bike lanes. And I think that's some other roads that the county controls for biking, walking, whatever, that we need to propose.
yeah, because generally you have to put bike lanes in to get the federal money. So our issue now is really motorized transportation. So much of the, say the snowmobile trails, it all goes through county, private land. And so you have people revoking the rights because they don't want snowmobiles running through because they're too noisy. So our trail has gotten fragmented. And the Snowmobile Alliance does that. We're also seeing a lot more ATV traffic now because winters had not been good for snowmobiles. So I would almost put the word enhance and maintain the transport.
Comment?
I enhance and maintain the transportation network for motorized and non-motorized within the county. So we get rid of that possessive counties. And it's a little
Comment.
bit more specific.
Comment.
Hey, George?
Yeah, I think the problem is that we want to encourage and support the enhanced development of the transportation network within the county for recreational use. In other words, we're not necessarily doing it ourselves as a county government, but we encourage and support it happening. Because we can use a lot more recreational opportunities within our rural county environment. But I think we go beyond doing something ourselves when we say we encourage and support the enhanced development within the county.
Yeah. And we do in fact, give money to the Snowmobile Alliance so they can maintain those trails. So maybe we should, I just say maybe enhance and maintain the transportation network.
Enhance and maintain the transportation network.
For, yeah, get rid of counties and maybe put in the county at the end.
Well, George had said, instead of enhance and maintain, encourage and support. So what's your response to that?
That's fine. It says the same thing. In my mind, it means the same thing.
Consensus on which way? Encourage
So-
and support, enhance and maintain.
George, it was encourage and support, you said?
Encourage and support. I don't want it to read the way it is now. Right now it says enhance the county's transportation. That puts it on us as the county government we're the ones who are enhanced. This is an objective for us. So our objective is to, to be supportive and to encourage and to chip in where we can. But I think it's broader than just the county supporting, some a particular snowmobile trail or a hiking trail.
Yeah, I like George's change. Does everybody else?
I can live with that. My only concern is the transportation network. As long as we recognize that what we're talking about is the recreational transportation network, not just the transportation network at large, because I'm not usually in favor of roads that we can't afford to maintain. No new roads kind of thing.
Yeah, that's key to this item, which it said it is for recreational use. So I'm concerned. I'm interested in hiking trails. Other people are interested in different things, but the point is the objective here should be about recreational use.
Yeah, then I'm okay.
And no emphasis on the motorized versus non-motorized.
Equal emphasis.
Equal emphasis, recreational use.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is going to show up as an action step, but I know in some of the earlier discussions, in order to work with, say, the Southern Ashland County communities who have been asking for interconnected trails for motorized, non-motorized rec use, you have to have a recreational transportation plan. So before those groups could ask for funding from most government or private sources, they had to prove that there was a county-approved recreational trail plan. So I hope that's in the action steps.
I think there is a recreational trail plan. It
I
was
would
done
love to see it. I know we
a
looked for it.
long time ago.
Well, if we could find that out and share it with those towns, that was an impediment to a recreational trail use grant that.
Yeah. I'll ask Matt about it. I think there was some, or actually forestry might have it.
It occurs to me that we should have an additional action step here then to review and update that plan.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Thanks, George.
Oh. Yeah, so I'll talk to Chris Hoffman to see if they have it, because I'm pretty sure that would have went through forestry.
And then there were 2 recommendations from the extreme weather report for transportation. The first one, promote the adoption of best practices and resources to support project planning and obtain funding for a more resilient transportation system across the county. Thoughts? I'll read them both. First edition, promote the adoption of best practices and resources to support project planning and obtain funding for a more resilient transportation system across the county. And the second one, encourage the development of bicycle and pedestrian transportation, new forms of transportation, and transit needs throughout the county as a means of enhancing healthy communities, providing transportation alternatives, and addressing recreational needs. So the first one, promote the adoption of best practices and resources to support project planning and obtaining funding for a more resilient transportation system across the county.
If I could say as grant writer, option B is a lot more clear and user-friendly if I needed to quote it into a grant application.
You mean the second, the encourage the development of bicycle and pedestrian transportation?
Yes.
George?
Well, I like them both. If you can incorporate them both into one function, that'd be fine with me. But I also am more interested in the recreational side of it.
So option B. George, option B.
Option B, if it's a vote of one or the other, but I could see integrated in them both.
Yeah, I can work on integrating both of those and keeping with the detail of the option B. And then
Sounds
we're
good.
at, what was that? Sounds good. We're at 3:36. How are people feeling?
Thank you.
I'm in the opinion we should keep going because we're behind. Everybody else okay going to 4?
I have to have a hard stop at 4, though.
I
Okay,
can get the utilities awfully quick.
Okay, let's do that.
okay, so we'll look at the action steps going forward later then.
Yeah, I think that's a good process.
Okay, so let's go to utilities. And like,
Utilities and community facilities, and I know George has looked at these. And there are some
So-
recommendations from the extreme weather report as well. George, you
Right.
wanna take it?
At our last meeting, I submitted my recommendation for utilities, which is very short and doesn't modify the prior existing text very much, except to basically to incorporate emerging technologies, which include data center type operations. But I wanted to add one, there were 4 points there, and I wanted to add one final one, which I just sent to you in the email. It seemed to be missing. And the final thing I wanted to add was support efforts to ensure utilities' resilience and adaptability if confronted with and in anticipation of adverse weather and climate trend challenges. So that was a missing element, and the resilience and adaptability of our utilities infrastructure in the face of any kind of significant climate or weather challenges is going to be important. So I wanted to add that. I sent it to you in the email. So as far as I'm concerned, you have pretty much everything you need on utilities.
George, I like your choice of words.
Thank you.
Thanks, George.
You mean if instead of when?
No, avoiding the word climate change.
Yeah, that's also pretty good.
Is there anything you want to go more in depth for utilities and community facilities, or should we go to?
Well, I would again ask that in the boldface thing that we put more central the high quality of life over the vibrant economy.
Do you want to
Just-
still
just
incorporate
flip
vibrant
those.
economy in that statement?
It's already there, just.
Yeah, do you
flip.
want to keep
Oh.
that and just rearrange? Or take that out?
Mhm. I guess,
Don't they go hand in hand though?
I think so.
In the document that I provided at our last meeting, and in the one I emailed to everybody just this afternoon,
Yeah,
the
George,
overall,
George, I'm the only
Yep.
one who has a laptop here. You can see it.
okay, let me just read this to see if everybody's happy with it. Goal is to strategically assess and prioritize county-wide utilities infrastructure and strive to enable improvements to vital utilities in support of county-wide utilities infrastructure for a vibrant economy and high quality of life. I just think maybe that answers that comment.
I think it does. Did I receive that email too?
Yeah, you did, Emily, I think.
Okay,
If not, I'll send it to you.
okay.
Okay. I'm okay with the goal. Is everybody else?
I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, but I I'm not sure, strategically assess and prioritize county-wide utilities. I'm under the impression that we probably don't have a county-wide utility. We've got several electric companies and several different internet facilities, not anything that's county-wide. So I
No.
just wasn't
term
sure what that word meant.
Countywide, the term countywide refers to utilities infrastructure. So it's not referring to countywide utilities. It's a support of county-wide utilities infrastructure. In other words, the utilities infrastructure, whatever it is, everywhere in the county, we're concerned about. There may be different suppliers and different functions in different parts of the county.
So we need the word countywide. I mean, the plan talks about the whole county.
It's about the whole county. It's hyphenated, county-wide.
So it's not that the county owns these utilities, it's that they're within the county and all over the county.
Correct.
And yeah, never mind. I don't, go ahead.
So, under the objectives, I once again want to point out the BEAD grant. There's $1 billion coming to Wisconsin. And the PSCs already awarded contracts to providers to put broadband everywhere in the county. So if you just type in PSC BEAD, you can get to the page. And for cell phone service, the PSC regulates that.
Are you looking at the documents that I submitted last month or back in March? Or are you looking
Yeah,
at?
it says March expanded 24 March 26.
Okay, and what item are you looking at?
Objective A.
A says, form collaborative efforts to increase availability and high quality electronic communications and information access and transmission services, including cell phone service, high-speed internet, broadband service, and emerging technologies to cover all residents. I don't see any conflict with the fact that we're already working on it.
Oh, I'm saying we don't have any authority over it, and that's all. It's all state regulated.
Yeah, that's why it's collaborative effort. I mean, I mean, a lot of our objectives are about encouraging and helping to enable and passing resolutions in favor of something, even though we don't have the budget or the authority directly. Yeah, exactly.
For item C, I would say continue to monitor. Because Bruce, you explain what you do with outs.
So as far as the pouts go, are you thinking about the maintenance part too, or?
Yeah, the make maintenance part, to making sure the tanks are just pumped and
Yeah.
the $8 fee.
Yep. So we have a few years back, the county board implemented a $8 fee for every pouch, which is a private on-site wastewater treatment system. And the reason for that $8 fee was because the state requires every county to maintain and track pouch systems. So little by little, we're trying to get that all updated so we know every pouch that's in the county, and we're adding the $8 fee on there. I've been going through it this winter. I spent a bit of time going through it, and we probably only had, I would say, less than 50% of them we're getting charged the $8 fee. So I updated that and that'll be on the next tax roll for 27. And otherwise, as far as the maintenance goes on these systems, because that's what we're charging the $8 fee for, is we are entering all of our info into Catalyst. And with the idea that there'll come a day when we should have every private system should be in there. And then if the pumpers do their part of it, when they pump any septic tank in the county, and as long as they put their info in there, we should be able to track that, and it would be public information also.
So should we say
I
continue?
I have
continue
no
to-
objection to changing the wording of this. I think monitor was kind of the minimal idea, but if there's a stronger way of saying this, I'm in support.
Okay,
So add continue to monitor.
yeah, and if you could think of something, as George said, if you could think of something stronger,
Okay.
Here's one from left field, but what about adding something about investigating the creation of a publicly owned utility to increase self-reliance? Is a county-owned utility a thing?
I don't think any county has a utility. There are some cities that have electric plants. And cities, of course, have water and wastewater plants. Why don't I look into this, see if the county is even allowed to do so before we add it?
That'd be great.
Yeah, I don't think we are, but I can ask.
And as far as letter A goes, I just have a little concern about the assumption that any emerging technology will be welcome to be promoting to cover all residents and businesses of the county. There may be pushback about some certain emerging technologies. So for us to already take the stance that that would be a good thing for the county to be doing, just something about it makes me a little eyebrow raised.
You mean like data centers?
Yeah. Well, data centers or whatever. It says any emerging technology to cover all residents and businesses in the county. You know, I don't know if the Amish want it.
Yeah, that can be improved. I agree. There's a reservation. The only word that helps qualify it is the word high quality, but it doesn't necessarily say that you want it. I mean, you might have a really high quality data center that some people want and some people don't. I don't know how to change the wording, but I agree with your point.
Yeah, because I mean, there's gonna be one coming eventually. We just don't have enough electricity available.
How about this? If you change the word increase to evaluate, it would read form collaborative efforts to evaluate the availability. That means your judgment.
I also think we're being a little bit too narrow in the focus. It's conceivable in the next 20 years that there's mini fusion reactors all over the place. And that would certainly be a technology, an emerging technology that we'd like to see. I'm just thinking there's a lot of energy technology going on right now that's
I think to George's point about to evaluate, And to Dan's point about maybe things that we're being too narrow to even list them at this point. But anyway, I feel like to both evaluate and to hold conversations around, or to invite community discussion around, there needs to be some step there that if the county is, before the county decides that it's going to support or encourage, even in its evaluation, it needs to have some level of democratization of that, of inviting input.
Okay, I have another suggestion then. Toward the end of that sentence, it says to cover all residents. And I would delete the words to cover and insert in the best interest of all residents and businesses.
And that's getting at it.
That's better, George. I don't, can we, it looks like the examples given are all basically, just communications and computer technology, Silicon Valley stuff. But there's other technologies we want to cover, like energy, or, because I mean, there's, like I said, we don't know what's going to happen in 5 years. There's going to be something new coming out that could replace all sorts of things. And I don't want to bring this up, but I mean, there's always the possibility of a mine. I mean, we all know that there's a big tract of mine by Mellon, iron by Mellon. And where there's iron, there's copper, and there's also gold. And it's one of these days, somebody's going to get a permit for it. So do we want to address that under utilities?
Well, a mine would have the demand on utilities like a data center would, but mining itself is not a utility. It's land use, right?
It is, but it's going to require a huge amount of energy.
Yeah.
And I know nobody wants to see it, but again, it could be like line 5 out of our control.
Mhm.
Well, for things like that, it's important then to have a statement in a vision plan so that you can point to it. Residents who are activating against it can say, it says in our plan. So in that way, I think it's a good idea to include something like, but the onus of justification for extractive industries falls on the industry itself before, as a first hurdle or something like that. I think it's important to, I don't know if it belongs in utilities, but I think it does belong somewhere in the plan so that people protesting have something to point to that says, we clearly said we don't want this.
It's getting pretty close to 4 o'clock. I suggest that that I would take a stab at updating the draft that I've done, so we have an updated draft next time we come back, and I would send that around to everybody and incorporate the discussion that we've had this afternoon. You're going to run out of time in about 3 minutes.
George, one other thing is this, it says utilities and community facilities, and I think community facilities is getting really short shrift.
I didn't sign up for community facilities. That's part of Liz Franick's. Well, the way we divided our work responsibilities is a little bit different than the actual mapping into the final plan.
But this does also have what was included in 2016, and I think that is a little light as well. Do you know, George, who is a part of the community facilities section?
That's Liz.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then I'll incorporate all of my notes for everything that I have today related to goals, objectives, and actions. But then another key part of the comprehensive plan is about the existing conditions. So we talked about the existing land use map today, but there are also existing conditions, background information for each of these plan elements and topics. And those draft plan elements are available on Northwest Regional Planning Commission's website, which the link is in your packet on your agenda. And I could send that out again. So far it has chapters 1 through,
Emily, could you send that link out to everybody
yes,
again?
I will.
So it's easy for them, for everybody to find it.
And then I think the important part, the issues and opportunities, number 10, that's an ever evolving list. And I think that some of those issues and opportunities from the extreme weather report should be incorporated. And then the land use chapter, that's something we'll work on based on the data from that existing land use map that you talked about today. And then any information, I know there are assigned elements, but take a look at any and all of the chapters. If there are any other information that should be included, any studies that you know about, or any local knowledge that you have that is not available in those public databases that we do have, let me know. And these will be evolving throughout the plan update process.
Okay, does somebody want to make that motion?
Wilhelm will make a motion to adjourn.
We're going to schedule our next meeting.
Karish will send out a poll for see what day works for everyone. Because Emily, we have to be cognizant that she can't be here exactly when we want her to be, that she has her own schedule. So Karish and Emily will talk, and then
We'll coordinate.
they'll send out 4 possible dates to everybody. So I believe, Mr. Wilhelm, you made a motion. Does somebody want a
Mr.
second?
Van Buren will second.
All right, we're adjourned.
All in favor?
We're adjourned. Let's make that second motion.